there's a possibility that Chinese cars may no longer be affordable. I'm going to talk about why that is. And in the second part of this video, I'm also going to talk about a Chinese brand that sold more units than VW, knocking it down from the top 3 best-selling vehicles in the country currently. So I'm going to explain this in simple terms. So there's a proposal to impose a 50% tariff on Chinese and Indian imports. And this has raised a major discussion between the government and the automotive industry of South Africa. So this whole potential 50% tariff hike issues was brought to light by the International Trade Administration Commission and the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. The main reason why there's a discussion between the government and the automotive industry of South Africa is because there's a huge influx of Chinese cars being imported into the country. And a large majority of vehicles that are being bought in the country are these Chinese and Indian vehicles. So this means that it's undermining the local manufacturers that are already existing in the country. Because all these companies combined, the Mercedes, BMW, Toyota, VW, they employ a large number of people, right, via their manufacturing vehicles locally. And the Chinese and car brands are just straight up imports and they're not being manufactured locally. Hence, they're saying that it undermines the local car manufacturer industry. Because these cars that are being imported in the country are really cheap. So instead of the current 25% tariff charges on these vehicles, these relevant organizations are saying that the tariff should be increased up to 50%. So these cars may not be so cheap to the point that people will just stay away from buying the locally manufactured one and running towards the cheap imported ones. This whole situation is still ongoing because there are other organizations like the Automotive Industry Associations of South Africa that are saying that if you put a 50% tariff on these Chinese and Indian imports, now we're going to face a problem of saying that entry-level vehicles will no longer be affordable to the South African consumers, right? And then we have another group that's saying that no, but these cheap imports are threatening or undermining the already existing local manufacturers in the country. So this whole situation is being discussed, and I can safely say that there is a possibility that the 50% tariff hikes on Chinese and Indian cars may happen. And if that happens, like I said, these cars will no longer be affordable. They will no longer be cheap. So let's just keep an eye out and see what's going to happen. Now I want to get to the second part of the video where I said that there is a Chinese manufacturer or Chinese car brand that has sold more units than VW Group in the month of January. That Chinese car brand is Chery Group. Chery Group, which includes Chery itself, Moda, Jaecoo and Jetour. They have sold more units than the VW Group. This is the first time that a Chinese car brand has made it into the top 3 best-selling cars in the country. Like, a Chinese brand has never made it that far, right? Normally, it's Toyota, Suzuki, and then VW. But in the month of January, it's, well, number 1 is still Toyota, number 2 is still Suzuki, but number 3 is the Chery Group. They sold 5,221 units, and then VW sold 4,774 units. I guess things have changed. Consumers have shifted their purchasing powers and they've handed the baton to a Chinese brand. People are really giving these Chinese cars a chance. And I used to be one of those, Chinese cars, this and that. But hey, look, they're doing really well. And I guess now we really can give them a chance, especially when it comes to Chery, right? The fact that there's also talks of them buying the Nissan plant in Rosslyn, Pretoria, that they're going to take over from there, and they may potentially start manufacturing their cars locally. So meaning that we no longer have to worry about, are we going to get parts? Are we going to get parts? Yeah. If the deal goes through, we don't have to worry about getting parts for these Chinese cars. Well, at least for the Chery Group, right? Jetour, Moda, and Jaecoo, and Chery itself. If that deal goes through, stay tuned for more car-related content.